All right, so the next topic I want to talk about is Esparza versus Zhang and when it should go down, when it goes down, where it goes down, and who gets to decide who, when, and where. And this was the source article on this is also the New York Post, and I thought it was a good article for. I don't recognize the name Scott Fantana who wrote it, but it's a pretty good one. It says UFC champion Carla Esparza, Zhang Weili fight will happen on my timeline. It says a championship victory, a new husband, and a lovely honeymoon. Safe to say the last month of Carla Esparza's life has been magical. That's a perfect way to describe it, the UFC strawweight champion told the Post over the phone Monday. And now Esparza has the name of the woman she'll face in her upcoming title defense, Zhang Weili. The former champion from China decisively won a billed #1 contender bout Saturday in Singapore on the UFC 275 main card, knocking out Joanna Jędrzejczyk in the second round. Esparza saw the highlight reel KO, a spinning back fist that connected more with her forearm to Jędrzejczyk's jaw, forcing the ex-champ from Poland to faceplant. Esparza hasn't had the chance to watch the entire fight yet, though. Blame that on some relatable technical difficulties. I was on my way back from an event. It actually came on earlier than I expected. I didn't catch it, Esparza said. And then when we did get in, it was really hard trying to load the fight. We kept trying to buy it, and it wasn't working. I caught the highlight, and I definitely planned to watch it. Obviously, if I ended up fighting Weili, I can't not watch her most recent fight. The UFC, Esparza said, has reached out about scheduling her next fight, which she would prefer to take place near the end of 2022. She cites nagging injuries, nothing serious, as part of the reason for the delay, allowing time to heal up and be ready. One lesson from her first championship reign, which only lasted 3 months in the winter of 2015, was to not rush back into the cage too quickly. It's something she takes to heart now with her second title run. That was honestly a big regret of mine, letting the pressure push me into jumping back so quickly after having gone through so much fighting on The Ultimate Fighter, Esparza said. That was my 5th fight in 8 months. It's really draining. That was a big regret of mine, not letting myself recover a little bit and jumping straight back into it because feeling pressured and wanting to make the UFC happy. But in the end, if I'm losing my title, then what was it all worth anyway? It says this time, Esparza is taking a different approach to planning the Zhang bout. I definitely don't feel like I'm in a position where I should rush just because Weili wants a certain date, she said. I'm not trying to go on her timeline. I'm the champion, and I feel she needs to go on my timeline. Esparza had regained her belt on May 7th with a decision victory over Rosnell Muniz more than 7 years after she lost it to Jędrzejczyk in her first title defense. Blah, blah, blah. Let me see. And that's pretty much the end of this topic. So I've seen a lot of comments about this online on various social media. And one of the things that always gets me is like people always react to the headline without reading the actual article. Like people are already calling Carla Esparza a duck. And they're saying, oh, she's just trying to avoid Weili. And my first reaction was read the article. It literally says, what does it say? It says, the UFC, Esparza said, has reached out about scheduling her next fight, which she would prefer to take place near the end of 22. So it's not like she's trying to say, oh, I'm not trying to fight this year. She said, I want to fight before the end of the year. But all she said was, just because Zhang Weili prefers a certain date and location, I don't feel I should have to take that date and location. And here's the thing. Whatever your feelings about Zhang and whatever your feelings are about Carla, doesn't change the fact that Carla is right about this. Whatever your feelings about her and her being champion, she's not wrong. Challengers do not get to set parameters for title fights. Period. Challengers do not get to set the parameters, when, where, how, what have you, for title fights. That's just how it is. Champions do not have to take whatever the challenger wants. They do not have to give in to anything the challenger wants. Period. And I would say this, if it was Zhang was a champ and Esparza was a challenger and said, well, I want to fight on this date at this location, I'd say, well, you don't get to decide that. You're not the champ. So if the roles were reversed, I'd say the same thing. And I've already dealt with people on different forums going, well, what about Rose Namajunas last year? She tried to set the parameters. Check my history. I said the same thing last year dealing with Rose and Zhang then. I said, Rose is not the champion. She doesn't get to say when and where. She can ask for stuff all she wants, but the champion is under no obligation to do what the challenger wants. So it doesn't matter who's in this position. Challengers do not get to set the dates. They can say, well, I would like to fight here and here on this date at this location. That doesn't mean the challenger has to take that bait, especially when it is plainly obvious that the challenger is trying to work an advantage into this. So I looked this up. Abu Dhabi from China is a 4-hour time difference. That's barely any jet lag. Abu Dhabi from California, where Esparza lives and trains, 11-hour time difference. So why should the champion say, okay, I will give you exactly what you want and I will deal with the jet lag this time? Even though I'm the champ and I shouldn't have to, I'll give you exactly what you want. And I will go to the place that you like and give you the advantage as far as jet lag and everything. I will screw up my schedule to meet your demands, even though I'm the one with the belt. Again, if the roles were reversed, I would say challenger should do whatever the champ wants. And this has nothing to do with my like or dislike for either of the fighters. I like both of these fighters. I think I've been a Esparza fan for years now, and I love watching Zhang fight. Does she say some really weird, questionable things sometimes outside of the ring that makes me think maybe you're not that bright? Yeah, most fighters do. Guess what? It's MMA. People get punched in the head for a living. I don't expect these people to be geniuses. But I will watch Zhang fight all day, any day. So this has nothing to do with me liking or disliking one of the fighters. It doesn't. Because like I said, if the roles were reversed, I'd be saying the same thing. Whether you like Zhang and hate Carla, or like Carla or hate Carla and like Zhang, or vice versa, guess what? It doesn't change my feeling on this. Challengers don't get to set the parameters of title fights. And at the end of the day, it's not going to matter because the UFC is going to try to push for what they want anyway. So UFC might end up pushing for the Abu Dhabi date in, was it September? They might end up pushing for that anyway because they might want Zhang to have the advantage. What is that? UFC 281, October 22nd. So the UFC might push for that anyway. And that's on the UFC. But that doesn't mean that even then, Carla doesn't have to say yes, like that's the date. She could say, what about November, December? That would be better for me. She is the champion. I mean, the worst they'll do is they'll say, fine, and we'll just make an interim title. Well, no one cares about interim titles anyway. But I just find it funny that really what this comes down to is that Carla is not well liked and Zhang is. So people are willing to disregard reality and basically just act entirely on their feelings and say, well, Esparza should do what she wants. Should do whatever Zhang says. And nobody likes Carla anyway, so who cares what she has to say? Well, she's the one with the belt around her waist. At the end of the day, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with the decision in that fight or not, and a lot of people seem to not agree with that decision, guess what? She won the fight. She got the excuse me. Esparza got the judge's decision over Namajunas, something that Weili failed to do. twice. So at the end of the day, Esparza has the title. Zhang doesn't. And if Zhang had the title and Esparza didn't, I'd say, guess what? You got to do whatever Zhang says. Or you've at least got to try to meet her in the middle. Because Zhang would be the champ and Esparza would be the challenger. I just find it crazy that people are suddenly like, oh, Esparza should do what Zhang wants. And if she doesn't, she's ducking. She's ducking. She's ducking. She's ducking. This isn't about ducking. This is about saying, you're not the champ. I am. So I don't have to take the date that you want just because you want it. And if the roles were reversed, it would apply the same way.